now at 11. Frigid tonight as temperatures go sub-zero. I'll cover that and when snow returns.
3 healthcare facilities shut down by the state of Indiana could soon reopen. Hundreds of people went for help but found something else.
Like just chaos.
Utter chaos.
Tonight, 13 Investigates hears firsthand what happened inside. Plus a deadly double shooting on the east side of Indianapolis. Tonight we're digging into exactly what happened near 21st and Emerson. And a first look at new redevelopment plans for the city market property here in downtown. Live from Indy, you're watching 13 News. Dangerously cold temperatures arrive in central Indiana. It is miserable right now, and it's going to get colder as you sleep tonight. We're talking about single digits in the morning. Some areas could see the temperature even dip below zero. Tonight, there are school closings and delays already in. We've got the full list for you right now on WTHR.com. Thanks for inviting us in. It's now 11 o'clock, and Angela knows it doesn't take long to feel the effects of this cold weather, does it?
No, so limit your time outside tomorrow morning and layer up. Kids at the bus stop, you mentioned the school delays already. At the bus stop, lots of layers tomorrow morning. We're going to be at zero at 8 a.m., if not below zero in a few places. The good news, there is some sunshine on the way for tomorrow, but what you need to do, especially the early part of the day, layer up and limit that time outside and limit the exposed areas. What we're talking about, temperatures 0 to 5 below and wind chills that may near 10 below zero. Continue to take precautions from the cold. These are actual forecast lows where we have that thicker snowpack. Temperatures go sub-zero, including Shelbyville, Columbus, Bloomington, Bedford, Greencastle, Terre Haute, and Richmond, forecasting 0 in Indianapolis. Temperatures do climb tomorrow afternoon into the 20s, upper teens, low 20s. That's it. We're going to go from cold to a snow chance on Friday. More than a chance, a couple of inches in the forecast. I'll have the timeline in a few minutes.
Three healthcare facilities shut down by the state. Now 13 Investigates has learned those facilities could reopen, but should they be allowed to? Our senior investigative reporter Bob Siegel joins us in studio tonight. And Bob, you've been working on this for a long time.
Yeah, Scott, it's been a full year because there are so many questions and answers have been hard to come by. For the next 2 nights, I'm going to show you what happened inside the medical centers that forced the state to shut them down and why some former patients and staff insist they should stay that way. The parking lot is empty, the dining hall vacant, hallways deserted. This is Praxis of South Bend, an addiction recovery center located near Mishawaka. 160 patients used to fill this place until the state of Indiana shut it down in the summer of 2023. These former patients say that should have happened sooner.
It was just a nightmare.
I experienced nothing but neglect.
Scary as hell. I just want the story told.
The story from each of these patients is remarkably similar. All of them went to Praxis to treat some form of addiction. Jordan Putz was hooked on Valium prescribed for a hernia surgery.
I was taking it every day for 17 years.
Brandon Truax's battle,
One day at a time,
is with alcohol.
I relapsed after my brother's death.
And this former patient, who asked to remain anonymous, got treatment for his addiction to narcotics.
To get back being a productive member of society and being a father to my children.
Different addictions, same recovery center, same experience.
What'd you find when you got there?
Like just chaos.
Utter chaos.
Absolute chaotic.
These former patients say the same narcotics and street drugs that many patients were trying to escape were being smuggled into the rehab center.
Everything they're trying to get away from is like in the facility.
Also inside, patients found not enough food and the constant stench of sewage from backed up plumbing.
We had feces in the floor flooding out into our rooms. We're required to clean things up like that ourselves.
Why didn't staff do that?
They didn't have the staff to do it.
And they say there wasn't enough medical staff either.
Did you see a doctor while you were there?
Never met a doctor.
Oh no, absolutely not.
I never saw a medical doctor.
Instead, patients say their treatment plans were administered by nurse practitioners who are trained to prescribe medications. But those nurse practitioners were not actually there.
I saw a nurse practitioner through a Zoom meeting who was prescribing me medications without ever setting eyes on me. It was a 3-minute Zoom call, and she put me on 3 different medications.
Inside the building, there were some nurses, but patients say they were overwhelmed.
I feel bad for the nurses that were there. It was like going into battle and doing triage on a war field.
Former patients tell 13 News they saw violence every day. Jordan says he ended up in the hospital after being attacked inside the rehab center by a younger patient.
Hit me in the face, slammed my head into the ground, and there's pretty much a full melee going on. And the 2 nurses that were there to look over us had locked themselves in the medication closet. It was terrifying. I thank to God every day that I got out of there.
Not all patients can say that. During a single week in July 2023, 3 separate patients died inside this Indiana rehab center. Coroner reports say one died of chronic alcohol use disorder, another died from the combined toxic effects of medications, and the third died by suicide. It was 38-year-old William Harris who killed himself while at Praxis of South Bend.
He seemed upbeat about going there.
James and Donna Harris say their youngest son graduated from Indiana State and planned to be a teacher. That is, until he got hooked on drugs. After years of addiction, William decided to get help and made arrangements to go to this treatment center straight from his parents' house. His father can still see William standing on the front porch, bags packed, waiting for his ride to Praxis.
This is the last time I saw my son. Oh, God.
You were one of the people who found him?
Yeah. And that's one of the things that gives me nightmares.
After the deaths at Praxis of South Bend, Indiana's Family and Social Services Administration ordered the Addiction Recovery Center to stop accepting new patients while state regulators investigated. A few weeks later, the agency's Division of Mental Health and Addiction notified the center it was taking emergency action, revoking its certification and shutting the place down. And not just this rehab center. At the same time, FSSA ordered the closure of 2 other facilities in Carmel and Bluffton. All 3 recovery centers are owned, operated, and managed by the same company, Landmark Recovery. 13 Investigates has tried repeatedly to talk with Landmark about the shutdowns. For the past 4 months, our emails, letters, and phone calls have all gone unanswered.
The person you are trying to reach has a voicemail box that has not been set up yet.
So my photojournalist and I drove 5 hours to Franklin, Tennessee. This is the company headquarters for Landmark Recovery. At least, it's the address Landmark lists as its headquarters. But when I got off the elevator, I discovered that is no longer true. Tenants in this office building tell me this entire floor used to be Landmark Recovery. But take a look inside now, you can see they've moved out. Room after room of empty cubicles and offices. While the company has not responded directly to 13 Investigates, Landmark did issue a statement back in 2023 about the deaths at its South Bend Recovery Center. The Landmark statement to WNDU said William Harris's suicide included no illicit substance, injuries, or any other suspicious circumstances involved. And the company pointed to coroner reports showing the other deaths were considered an accident or natural. Despite the different causes of death, former patients say all of the tragedies have one thing in common.
I believe all 3 of those deaths could have been prevented if they were checking the rooms like they should have.
Every last one of them was preventable if they'd done a 15-minute wellness check like they were supposed to do.
Legal documents support claims that patients were not adequately monitored. An administrative law judge reviewed the state's decision to shut down the 3 Landmark rehab centers. The judge pointed out state investigators found Landmark had a safety problem described as glaring and significant when it comes to monitoring patients, even those who were suicidal. For one of the patients who died, FSSA reported, although checks every 15 minutes were ordered, only 4 checks were documented over a 2-day period, and no therapy at all provided after the individual's report of suicidal ideations. For another patient, investigators found an insufficient nursing response, and checks were ordered to be conducted every 30 minutes, but documentation did not reflect that the regular monitoring took place. The judge's report also says Landmark failed to report critical incidents to the state, including drug overdoses, medical incidents that required hospital transports, another suicide attempt, and instances of alleged battery and assault, all at the South Bend Treatment Center. And the judge highlighted another inspection at Landmark's Bluffton facility, where inspectors identified serious concerns over a lack of supervision, missed medication doses, lack of staff training, and overall uncleanliness of the facility. Landmark claimed FSSA's order shutting down 3 of its Indiana treatment centers was not justified. At a formal hearing, the company provided letters of support from former patients and community advocates, and Landmark's attorneys asked the administrative law judge to reverse the state's decision. The judge denied that request. But despite the ruling and all of the state's findings, 13 Investigates has learned these facilities could soon reopen. This investigation is far from over because 13 News has discovered Landmark has already taken steps here in Indiana to reopen some of the rehab centers. And even though the company doesn't want to talk about that, 13 Investigates has still been tracking down answers. Right now on WTHR Plus, you can see how Landmark got permission to try to reopen its facilities, despite documents obtained by 13 Investigates that show hundreds of reported problems. And you'll hear from a former worker who says reopening the addiction treatment centers would be a really bad idea.
Why are you sitting down to talk with me right now?
Because I feel like just the general public are in harm's way.
13 Investigates has also been asking state regulators whether they acted quickly enough and what they're doing right now to prevent more injuries and deaths at rehab centers. But some top state officials do not want to talk about this investigation.
Doctor, why are you just running away from these questions?
Again, you can see our full year-long investigation right now on WTHR Plus.
All right, Bob Siegel, thanks so much, and we look forward to seeing more of that story tomorrow night.
This section of City Market is about to get an overhaul. Coming up, I'll show you the city's plans to transform this historic property, not just up here, but also underground.
Snow returns on Friday. I'll have the local timeline and the totals.
The Orange Bowl pep rally did not disappoint as we get you set and ready for Notre Dame, and Penn State fans are pumped up. That's coming up for you next.